Welcome to Silver Narratives. Today, I want to share something very personal with you. This is not just another motivational talk, it is a sincere reflection on a reality many people experience but rarely discuss openly. Sometimes, in life, we discover that support is not always as strong as it first appears. People may encourage you when your goals are small and your journey looks easy, but when challenges grow and success is still far away, some of that support can fade. Calls become less frequent, messages go unanswered, and the simple question, "How are you?" is no longer asked. It can feel as if you are walking your path alone. What makes this experience even more difficult is the trust we place in others. We often believe that the friends we stand beside during their hard times will stand beside us as well. Yet life has a quiet way of teaching us an important lesson: the most dependable companion on the road to success is often your own determination. This is not an idea borrowed from a book, it is a lesson learned through real struggles, real setbacks, and real growth. So if you are feeling lonely, overlooked, or discouraged, remember that these moments can shape your strength rather than define your limits. Silence can become confidence, and pain can become the fuel that moves you forward. Success does not require a large circle of supporters, sometimes it begins with just one believer, you. When you trust yourself, you build the courage to continue, even when the road feels empty. Let me take you back to where this journey began and show you what it truly means to keep going, even when no one is watching. This story may change the way you see challenges, and at the same time, it will help you learn practical English through real emotions and everyday expressions. If you enjoy meaningful stories that strengthen both your mindset and your language skills, be sure to subscribe to Silver Narratives for more inspiring content. On this journey, your mindset will expand, your English will improve, and you may begin to see your life from a new perspective. Chapter 1: The Boy No One Believed In. My name is Russell, and I grew up in a small town where big dreams often felt out of place. Around me, success seemed like something meant for other people, people from bigger cities, richer families, or better circumstances. No one in my family had ever chased extraordinary goals. My father worked long hours as a mechanic, and my mother managed our home with care and sacrifice. We did not have much, but we had enough to get by. Still, deep inside, I carried a strong feeling that my life was meant for something greater, something that could transform my future and perhaps inspire others along the way. When I was 18, I remember standing with my friends at a bus stop, full of excitement about the future. I told them confidently, "One day I will be successful. I will earn money online, build a business, and travel the world." Instead of encouragement, I was met with laughter. One friend pointed out my broken phone and worn-out shoes and joked about my millionaire plans. Another advised me to be realistic and focus on finding a stable job, reminding me that dreams alone could not pay the bills. I forced a smile, but inside I felt deeply hurt. These were not strangers, they were people I studied with, shared meals with, and supported whenever they needed help. Yet the moment I spoke about a bigger future, they could only see my present struggles. What hurt the most was realizing that they were judging the person I was at that moment, the boy who rode the bus, wore simple clothes, and spoke imperfect English. To them, I looked too ordinary to ever become extraordinary. Unfortunately, the doubt did not stop there. When I shared my idea of starting a small online business with my uncle, he discouraged me, saying that people from families like ours should choose safe, traditional paths. Even my father, speaking from a place of concern, told me not to waste time on ideas that seemed unrealistic. That night, I felt invisible, as though my dreams were too large for the world around me. But as I sat alone in my small room, with no air conditioning, just a noisy fan, a tiny desk, a damaged chair, and a phone with a cracked screen, I came to an important realization. People rarely believe in potential, they believe in proof. They often need to see results before they offer their support. Looking around that modest room, I made a quiet but life-changing decision. I told myself, this is where my journey begins, not on a grand stage or in a luxurious office, but right here. I promised that if no one encouraged me, I would encourage myself. If no one applauded my efforts, I would recognize my own progress. And if no one believed in me, I would work until my success spoke for itself. From that moment, nothing immediately changed on the outside. I was still facing financial struggles, still overlooked, still walking much of my path alone. But inside, something powerful had awakened, a determination, a steady inner voice, a spark that refused to fade. It felt like an internal battle between the old version of me, who felt small and uncertain, and a new version that was ready to grow, to persist, and to succeed. That was the true beginning of my journey, the start of a path that I would often have to walk alone, guided by belief, resilience, and the courage to keep moving forward. Chapter 2: The Silent Years. That was the moment my journey of walking alone truly began. It was the first time I clearly understood a hard truth about life: people rarely stand beside you when you are struggling, but many will appear once you succeed. Still, I realized that if you are brave enough to keep moving forward on your own, success will eventually follow. And when it does, even those who once doubted you may want to celebrate with you. That night marked the real beginning of my story. After that, something shifted deep within me. Nothing around me changed. I still lived in the same small room, used the same cracked phone, sat on the same broken chair, and carried the same empty pockets. But inside my heart, a powerful decision had been born. It was like a quiet voice promising that I would not stay stuck forever. I kept this promise to myself private. I didn't post about it online, and I didn't call friends to announce big plans. By then, I had learned an important lesson: people don't pay attention to your intentions, they notice your results. So instead of talking, I chose to work silently. I began waking up every morning at 5 a.m. Not because a motivational speaker told me to, and not because I had read about the perfect morning routine, but because I needed those peaceful hours. My house was small, and by 7 a.m. it filled with noise. The early morning gave me the quiet space I needed to focus. I would gently prepare a cup of tea, sit on the floor with my second-hand notebook, and start learning. I searched for ways to make money online. I looked up methods to improve my English from home. Every useful idea I found, I carefully wrote down, word for word. We didn't have internet at home, so once a week I borrowed a friend's hotspot to download free PDFs and educational videos. I didn't own a laptop, only an old phone with a dark line across the screen. Some days it shut down because the battery was too low. Electricity wasn't always available, so on certain nights I studied by candlelight, reviewing my handwritten notes again and again. There were many things I didn't understand at first. Some English words felt complicated and unfamiliar, but I refused to give up. I wrote them down, practiced their pronunciation, and repeated them in front of a mirror over and over. That mirror slowly became my first companion on this journey. I would look at my reflection and say, "Russell, you will speak English fluently. You will build a business. You will earn in dollars. You will succeed." At times, tears filled my eyes, not because I was weak, but because I was the only person who truly believed in that dream. Gradually, I began to distance myself from distractions. I stopped attending unnecessary parties, ignored late-night messages, and avoided conversations that revolved around gossip. People noticed the change. Some said, "You've become different." Others joked, "Do you think you're better than us now?" A few laughed, some grew irritated, and some simply drifted away. I didn't argue or explain myself, I was too focused on rebuilding my life. When you grow quietly, people sometimes misunderstand your silence as arrogance. What they don't see is that you are protecting your energy and your future. To survive and invest in my dream, I took on 2 small part-time jobs. During the day, I worked at a local tea shop, wiping tables and washing cups. Later, I helped at a grocery store, lifting heavy boxes and arranging shelves. By evening, my hands smelled of onions and soap, my back ached, and my eyes burned with exhaustion. Yet every night, I returned home, opened my notebook, and continued learning, because my dream was still alive, and so was my determination. While many boys spent their evenings watching Netflix, I watched educational tutorials. While others posted gym selfies, I practiced English pronunciation. While they slept at midnight, I stayed awake reading about skills like email marketing. I never believed I was better than them, I was simply more hungry for change. Not hungry for attention, but hungry for freedom, the freedom to live with dignity, to stop asking for approval, and to become someone the world could not ignore. I couldn't afford coaching centers or expensive classes, so I became my own teacher. I watched free YouTube lessons on grammar, downloaded beginner books, and read them aloud. I paused videos, repeated sentences slowly, and tried to copy the accent. Step by step, one word, one line, one paragraph at a time, I improved. I even started writing short blog posts, though almost no one read them. It didn't matter. I wasn't writing for applause, I was writing to train my mind to think in English, to express ideas clearly, and to grow stronger every day. Those quiet efforts, invisible to the world, were laying the foundation for the life I was determined to build. Chapter 3, When Effort Still Brings No Visible Reward. Even my social media captions began to change. I slowly moved from writing in my local language to writing in English. It wasn't perfect, far from it, and people noticed immediately. Some laughed openly. Others sent screenshots of my grammar mistakes as if they were jokes meant for entertainment. A few even told me to stop showing off. But I refused to go back. I understood something they didn't yet see: mistakes are not signs of failure, they are proof that you are trying. And if you keep trying long enough, those very mistakes transform into strengths. About 6 months into this journey, I reached a moment where I seriously considered giving up, not on life, but on the dream itself. Nothing seemed to be working. There was no support, no encouragement, no income, no recognition. Just long days, quiet nights, and the heavy feeling that I was walking through darkness alone. One evening, I sat by myself eating dry bread. My stomach was full, but my heart felt empty. I had no one to tell me, "You're doing great. Keep going." I looked up at the ceiling and whispered, "Why is this so hard?" The only reply was the slow, steady sound of a fan spinning above me. Yet in that silence, a powerful realization settled into my mind: no one was supposed to rescue me. No one was required to understand my path. This was my journey, and if I wanted the results, I had to accept the responsibility, especially when no one was watching. That night, I wrote a single sentence on a small piece of paper and taped it to my wall. I will win, even if it takes 10 years. That sentence became my anchor. Whenever exhaustion crept in, I read it. Whenever jealousy appeared, I repeated it. Whenever I saw someone living the life I dreamed of, I reminded myself again, I will win, even if it takes 10 years. Instead of chasing quick success, I learned to fall in love with the process. I studied every day. I practiced speaking English daily. I saved every extra dollar I could and eventually upgraded to a better internet plan. I bought an inexpensive microphone so I could start recording voiceovers. I taught myself how to create digital content, all from that same tiny room, with that same cracked phone, while the world around me laughed, slept, or simply paid no attention. 2 years passed. By then, my English had improved, my skills had expanded, and I had begun earning a small income online, about $200 a month. It wasn't much, but it was real. Still, no one applauded. No one asked how I had done it. No one said they were proud of me. From the outside, my life didn't look impressive. I still had no car, no designer clothes, no beautiful home. But something far more important had changed within me. Deep down, I knew I was becoming someone stronger, someone the world would eventually have to respect. The only question left was simple: how long could I keep walking alone? And my answer was just as simple: as long as it takes. After 2 years of quiet effort, something strange happened. I was no longer the same person who had started this path. My communication had improved, my thinking had grown sharper, and my discipline had become part of who I was. Yet my external life looked almost unchanged, and that made this the most dangerous stage of all. This is the point where many people give up. Not at the beginning, when hardship is obvious, but later, when they have worked for so long and still have nothing dramatic to show for it. I wasn't physically exhausted, I was mentally drained. Each morning, the same question echoed in my mind: am I truly moving forward, or am I just fooling myself? One day, I made a decision that shifted everything. I told myself it was time to stop preparing endlessly and start doing something real. Preparation had given me knowledge, but action would test my courage. I chose a simple path: freelancing. Over time, I had learned a few foundational skills: writing basic content, understanding introductory digital marketing, and creating simple designs with free tools. I wasn't an expert, but I was sincere, determined, and ready to work harder than ever. With nervous excitement, I created my very first freelancing profile. I uploaded a photo, wrote a short description in clear, simple English, and pressed publish with trembling hands. I remember staring at the screen afterward, my heart racing, thinking, this is it. This is where my new life begins. But reality arrived quickly. Day 1 passed, and no messages came. The silence continued. Day 2 passed, no messages. By the end of the first week, still nothing. Every night after finishing work, I sat down and applied for freelance jobs. I wrote each proposal carefully, then rewrote it again and again, checking my grammar, adjusting my tone, and trying my best to sound professional and confident. Yet nothing changed. Soon, the rejections began to appear. Not selected. Client chose another candidate. No response. Hundreds of applications, and still zero results. Slowly, doubt returned. I started questioning everything. Maybe my English still isn't good enough. Maybe I'm not talented enough. Maybe those people were right about me. The old voices came back, the ones that once laughed at my dreams, the ones that whispered, "People like us don't succeed." This time, those voices sounded even louder because now I had actually tried, and failed. There is a kind of pain that few people talk about. It isn't just the pain of having little money or the sting of being insulted. It is the quiet heartbreak of giving your absolute best and still being overlooked. Many nights, I sat alone in my room with my phone in my hand, refreshing my email again and again, hoping to see a notification. But there was only silence. At some point, the excitement faded. Motivational quotes no longer inspired me. I didn't feel energized or hopeful, I simply felt empty. Yet the next morning, I still woke up. I still went to work. I still came home and applied again. Not because I felt powerful, but because I knew I had no other option. The thought of returning to my old, limited life frightened me far more than the possibility of failing once again. During this period, I watched many people around me move forward. Some friends secured good jobs through connections. Others earned promotions or began making solid incomes. Their social media filled with photos of new phones, motorcycles, dinners at restaurants, and weekend trips. I was genuinely happy for them, but deep inside, something ached. I was working harder than ever, doing everything I believed was right, yet I felt stuck in the same place. This is the moment when jealousy quietly tries to enter your heart. This is when bitterness attempts to poison your thoughts. I felt those emotions, and I won't pretend otherwise. But one night, I sat alone and reflected deeply. I realized something important: if I allowed bitterness to grow, I would lose. If I started resenting others, I would lose. And if I gave up now, after coming this far, I would lose most of all. So I made another life-changing decision. I stopped measuring my worth by immediate results and began measuring it by effort instead. Each day, I asked myself only one question: did I give my full effort today? Not, did I earn money today? Not, did anyone praise me today? Just effort. If I studied for one focused hour, that counted as a victory. If I applied for 10 jobs, that was a victory. If I practiced English for 30 minutes, that was a victory. These were small, invisible wins, the kind no one applauds and few people notice, but they were quietly transforming me into a stronger, more capable person. I also stopped trying to appear successful. I let go of the need to impress others. I no longer posted motivational quotes or explained my plans. I didn't talk about my struggles or seek sympathy. Instead, I directed all my energy toward growth. I focused on building real skills. I improved my writing. I practiced communicating clearly and professionally. I studied why some people succeed online while others remain unseen. Most importantly, I learned how to solve problems rather than just talk about them. And although the world still saw no dramatic change, something powerful was happening beneath the surface. I was becoming prepared for the opportunity that, sooner or later, would arrive. This stage of my life was painfully ordinary. No excitement, no dramatic turning points, just the same routine repeated day after day. But over time, I learned a powerful truth: repetition is what builds strength. It may feel dull in the moment, yet it quietly shapes the discipline that success requires. There is one night from that period that I will never forget. I had just received another rejection email. Exhausted, with a heavy mind, I placed my phone aside and lay on the floor staring up at the ceiling. For the first time, I whispered out loud, "Maybe this isn't meant for me." The moment those words left my mouth, they frightened me. Because once you accept that belief, your journey can end without you even realizing it. I stayed there in silence for a long time. Then memories began to surface: the laughter at the bus stop, the faces of people who were certain I would fail, the confident way they dismissed my dreams. Suddenly, something inside me stirred awake again. I sat up slowly and said, almost peacefully, "I didn't come this far just to stop here." There was no anger, no dramatic declaration, only a calm and steady decision to continue. Looking back now, I understand that phase with complete clarity. It wasn't designed to make me wealthy. It was meant to teach me patience. It wasn't there to bring fame, it was there to build inner strength. It wasn't about proving anything to the world, it was about proving something to myself. I learned that I could keep going even without rewards, remain disciplined without applause, and trust my own path even when visible results were nowhere to be found. That season stripped away my ego. It removed my need for constant validation and lessened my dependence on others' approval. Most importantly, it prepared me for what was quietly approaching. By the time this phase ended, nothing dramatic had happened. I was still not rich, still unknown, still unnoticed by the wider world. But internally, I had transformed. My confidence no longer depended on anyone else. My happiness was no longer tied to immediate outcomes. My focus no longer relied on bursts of motivation, it came from consistency. And consistency is powerful, because once the person truly becomes consistent, success shifts from being uncertain to being only a matter of time. I didn't realize it then, but I was standing very close to my first real breakthrough, and the world still wasn't watching. Chapter 4: The Door That Opened Quietly. I remember the exact day everything began to change. It didn't arrive with noise or celebration. There was no dramatic announcement, no shining spotlight, no message declaring, "You made it." Like many important moments in life, it came gently, almost unnoticed. That morning, I sat on the edge of my bed, tired but determined, continuing the routine I had followed for months, applying for jobs, one after another. Then suddenly, a notification appeared on my freelancing profile. "Hi Russell, I liked your writing sample. Are you available for a small blog project?" That was it. One short message. One client. One opportunity. Yet to me, it felt as though the sky had opened. I stared at the screen for nearly 5 minutes, not because the message was complicated, but because I could hardly believe it was real. After hundreds of rejections, months of silence, and countless nights filled with doubt, someone had finally said yes. I didn't shout or celebrate. Instead, I took a deep breath and reminded myself to stay calm and professional. "Reply thoughtfully," I told myself. "Don't sound desperate." With slightly trembling hands, I typed back. "Hello. Thank you very much for reaching out. Yes, I'm available." Please let me know the details. To anyone else, it may have looked like a simple exchange. But I knew this was more than a job, it was a test. The client asked me to write a single blog article, about 500 words, on the topic, how to stay focused in the digital age. It sounded straightforward, yet to me it became the most important piece of writing I had ever created. I spent hours researching. I drafted the article multiple times, carefully improving every sentence. I checked grammar, spelling, and flow with intense focus. Then I read the entire piece out loud again and again, nearly 10 times, listening for clarity and rhythm. When I finally submitted it, I closed my eyes and whispered, "Please let this be good enough." Then came the waiting. 1 hour passed. Nothing. 2 hours passed. Still silence. Finally, a reply appeared. "Thank you, Russell. This is great work. I'll send payment now. Looking forward to working together again." Tears filled my eyes as I read those words. It wasn't really about the money or even the compliment, it was about what that message represented. It meant I wasn't foolish for believing in myself. It meant my effort had value. It meant I could contribute something meaningful to the world. The payment was $10. To some people, that amount might seem insignificant. But to me, it was priceless. It wasn't just $10, it was proof. Proof that I could earn online. Proof that someone trusted my work. Proof that all those months of studying, practicing, struggling, doubting, and persevering had not been wasted. I held on to that payment as if it were gold, because in many ways, it was. It was the spark, the first drop of rain after a long and painful drought. There was still no applause, no cheering crowd. Yet in that quiet moment, my life had begun to shift. I felt an urge to share the news with someone, to tell another human being what had just happened. I felt a strong urge to tell someone the news. I wanted to say, "I just received my very first online payment." But I paused. Deep down, I knew most people wouldn't understand what it truly meant. To them, I was still experimenting, still playing with freelancing, still wasting time on the internet. What they couldn't see were the years hidden behind that single $10 payment, the early mornings, the cracked phone, the broken English, the quiet tears, and the relentless effort no one ever witnessed. So I kept it to myself. That night, I simply smiled and opened my journal. I wrote, "Today, I earned $10 online. The world didn't notice, but I did, and that is enough." After that first job, something inside me strengthened. It was confidence, but not the loud, attention-seeking kind. It was quiet confidence, the kind that grows from evidence, from action, from results you have personally earned. For the first time, I no longer felt like an imposter pretending to belong. I felt like a true beginner, a worker, a builder, someone finally in motion. That single opportunity gave me momentum, and momentum is powerful. Once you experience even a small victory, your mindset begins to shift. I had tasted belief, not borrowed encouragement from others, but self-belief built through persistence. I adjusted my approach. Instead of chasing hundreds of clients, I focused on creating genuine professional relationships. I improved my freelancing profile, strengthened my writing samples, and learned how to craft clearer, more thoughtful proposals. I invested my time rather than my money because time was the resource I could control. Every night, I continued practicing English, still standing in front of the mirror, still using the same worn notebook, still repeating words from online lessons. I understood that if I wanted to grow beyond borders, I needed to communicate beyond borders. A few months later, that same client returned with more work and even recommended me to another client. Slowly, very slowly, my monthly income grew from $50 to $100, then to $300. Those numbers might have seemed small to others, but to me, they represented a breakthrough. For the first time, I no longer needed to ask my father for bus fare. I bought myself a new pair of shoes after years of going without. Eventually, I paid for my own internet connection. These may sound like simple milestones, yet each one reminded me that my life was changing. Still, no one applauded. No one called me successful. The world continued as if nothing had happened. But by then, I wasn't chasing visibility anymore, I was focused on becoming unstoppable. During that season, I learned lessons that stayed with me. Your first win will not instantly transform your life, but it will change your direction. Your first dollar will not make you wealthy, but it will prove that you are capable. Your first opportunity will not bring fame, but it will build resilience. And perhaps most importantly, early success often reveals that you never needed the approval you once chased. The people who had once laughed at my ambitions grew quiet. They didn't return with apologies, they simply faded from the background. I realized something profound: when you begin turning your dreams into reality, you stop being entertainment. And people often grow uncomfortable with the very determination they once mocked. Chapter 5: The Day the World Finally Noticed. Weeks became months, and months turned into years. Through it all, I kept moving forward, quietly, consistently, without shortcuts and without waiting for recognition. By this time, I had built a stable online income. I could pay my bills, set aside savings, and feel a sense of personal pride. Yet to the outside world, I remained almost invisible. No one asked what I did, and few cared how far I had come. I wasn't posting flashy updates or showcasing a glamorous lifestyle. There were no luxury photos, no designer watches, no carefully curated image, just steady progress behind the scenes. Then one day, everything shifted. A client I had been working with for months sent me a message. It read, "Russell, I've been observing your consistency and honesty. I'm launching a new content platform, and I want you to lead the writing team. It's a long-term contract that pays $2,000 a month." For a moment, I couldn't move. I read the message once, twice, maybe 10 times, just to be sure my eyes weren't deceiving me. $2,000 a month. My heart pounded as the reality settled in. This wasn't just another project, it was the kind of opportunity that has the power to redefine a life. All the silent mornings, the rejections, the discipline, the nights filled with uncertainty, they had quietly guided me to this very door. And now, at last, that door was opening. Are you interested? I read that message again and again, at least 5 times, trying to fully absorb what it meant. Then I closed my eyes, took a deep breath, and thought about the boy who had started this journey. The boy who couldn't afford internet access. The boy who was laughed at by friends. The boy who cried quietly when no one was around. The boy who once earned $10 and celebrated it like a life-changing victory. And now, that same boy was being offered a leadership role. It wasn't luck. It wasn't the result of powerful connections. It was the outcome of discipline, of years filled with steady, unseen effort. Without hesitation, I said yes. And in that moment, my life began to shift in ways I had once only imagined. After accepting the position, something new happened. People started noticing me. My work was shared online. Clients mentioned my name in professional communities. Messages began appearing on LinkedIn. Opportunities slowly expanded. And then, something familiar returned, the voices from my past. "Hey, it's been a long time. I hear you're doing great. I always knew you would succeed. Proud of you, we should reconnect sometime." I recognized every name. These were the same people who had laughed when I had nothing, ignored me when I was learning, and doubted me while I was building my future. Now, suddenly, they remembered me, not because they had missed me, but because they could finally see what I had become. For a brief moment, I felt anger rising inside me. Part of me wanted to ask, where were you when I was struggling? Where were you when I had no support? But that feeling quickly faded, replaced by understanding. They hadn't necessarily hated me, they simply couldn't see potential that had not yet produced visible results. Now that the results were undeniable, they returned, not as companions from the journey, but as spectators of the outcome. That is often how the world works, it applauds the finished version, not the messy process that created it. I chose not to respond with resentment. I didn't argue or explain my past. I simply kept moving forward because my life was no longer about proving anyone wrong, it was about proving myself right. With time, I reached milestones I once thought were impossible. I bought a small apartment and furnished it with money I had earned on my own. I began sending financial support to my parents each month. I took my younger brother on his first vacation. I became the first person in my family to earn an income online, the first to be paid in US dollars, the first to speak fluent English in professional meetings, and the first to build something meaningful from nothing. And I had done it without shortcuts, no wealthy relative, no sudden miracle, no overnight success. Just consistent effort, repeated quietly for years. If you are listening to this story today, remember this: you do not need everyone to believe in you. You only need one person, yourself. People may laugh at your ambitions. Some will doubt you. Others may disappear when you face your hardest moments. Let them. Because when you finally succeed, many will return, not to help you, but to stand close enough to share in the glow of your success. But you will know the truth. You will remember the nights you struggled alone, the meals you sacrificed, the friendships that faded, the risks you took, and the applications you submitted with nervous hands. You will remember the quiet voice within you that kept saying, "Keep going." And when you smile, it won't be because the world finally believes in you, it will be because you never stopped believing in yourself. It often feels like no one supports you until you win. Yet once you succeed, you may realize you no longer depend on that support. Your progress speaks louder than any delayed applause. So don't wait for perfect conditions. Don't wait for encouragement. Don't wait for someone else to recognize your potential. Start where you are, with whatever you have, even if you feel uncertain, afraid, or unprepared. Begin anyway. One day, you may become the person others once doubted. And when that happens, you will prove something powerful: silence is not weakness, it is focus. And when victory finally arrives, the only sound the world may hear is the steady rhythm of your footsteps moving forward, far beyond the limits others once imagined for you. 13 Powerful Lessons from Russell's Story. Number 1. The world respects results more than intentions. Passion and dreams are important, but people truly pay attention when those dreams turn into measurable outcomes. Instead of constantly explaining your vision, invest your energy in building it. Achievement creates its own voice. Number 2. Silence often signals focus, not failure. Russell didn't broadcast his goals, he worked quietly while others chased appearances. Real growth usually happens away from the spotlight. If your progress feels invisible right now, it may simply mean you are concentrating on something that requires depth and patience. Number 3. Rejection is a test, not the end. Russell faced hundreds of no's, and each one almost broke him. But the ones who keep applying, keep learning, and keep improving eventually win. Every rejection is just a step closer to a yes. Keep moving forward, each refusal is a lesson, not a failure. Number 4. Your first win won't be huge, but it will be everything. That first $10 changed Russell's life, not because of the money, but because of what it proved. Your first success isn't about wealth, it's about belief. It tells you, yes, you can. Number 5. People often disappear when you need them most. When you're broke, lost, or struggling, even close friends may vanish. This isn't betrayal, it's reality. Let it sting, let it hurt, but then let it make you stronger. When you finally win, those voices will reappear, but you won't need them anymore. Number 6. You don't need motivation. You need a decision. Russell didn't wait to feel inspired. He made a quiet, unshakable decision to win, no matter how long it took. Decisions create discipline, and discipline builds destiny. Number 7. Become your own teacher, friend, and support system. No one will guide you, cheer for you, or tell you that you're improving. That's why you must be your own coach. Applaud yourself. Talk to yourself. Teach yourself. Be the person you've been waiting for. Number 8. Growth happens in invisible moments. The world only sees the finished product, never the early mornings, the broken phones, or the silent tears. Don't chase visibility, chase growth. Invisible progress is still progress. Number 9. Discipline takes you farther than motivation. Motivation is fleeting, but discipline is permanent. Russell didn't win because he felt excited every day, he won because he showed up even when he was tired, scared, or empty. If you feel weak, do it anyway. Number 10. Repetition is your real power. Russell's success wasn't from talent alone. It was built from repeating simple actions consistently for years. Show up. Repeat. Repeat again. That's how you become unstoppable. Number 11. The journey is the reward. Russell's real prize wasn't just earning money or fame, it was who he became: patient, skilled, disciplined, respected. Don't only chase results, chase transformation. Number 12. You don't need perfect conditions. No money. No mentor. No privilege. Still, Russell made it. Why? Because he believed, I am enough. I will find a way. I will build my future with what I have. Action, belief, and time are more important than perfect circumstances. Number 13. Win for yourself, not to prove others wrong. Russell didn't seek revenge or validation. He didn't argue or explain. He simply moved forward. Success isn't about showing the world they were wrong, it's about proving to yourself that you were always right. If this story teaches you anything, remember this: you don't need the world to believe in you. You only need one person, the person inside you. Train them. Talk to them. Push them. Never stop. One day, when the world finally notices what you've become, you'll smile and say, "I did it," without anyone else.